Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. This April, Jupiter and Uranus come into conjunction in the sky. It happens every 13 and a half years. And Jupiter and Uranus conjunctions bring a weird theme to my life. This is the third one that I've run into in my lifetime. And every time they bring about an interesting set of circumstances in my life. Let's talk about the last two that I lived through. 1997 was the first. I didn't study astrology at the time, obviously, but it was the first time in my lifetime that Jupiter and Uranus came into conjunction. My family had just moved from one part of town to another, and it involved going to a different elementary school. I was in fourth grade at the time. And it created a lot of rift for two reasons. Number one, I had to start all over again, making new friends, right? It didn't help that social media didn't exist at the time. In fact, I don't think we were even connected to the internet. At best, you can maybe call somebody on a landline phone, right? You have to be home to do that. You have to hope your friends are home too. And and then number two, my family moved us into a much better home, right? And it created a lot of jealousy amongst my new friends and I, and so it created a lot of drama. And also around the same time, my family was also adjusting, right? My dad had some shifts in career. My mom had gone back to work, after taking some time away from work first to take care of me, among some other things. Right? It created a lot of chaos in my life. Not that it was a bad thing; it was a change more than anything else. I'll never forget the first holiday season that we were in the new home when we were sorting all of this out, and it was my first time experiencing the post holiday blues. Right, this time of year is usually pretty challenging to me as it is. But then I got well adjusted, and before long, I was doing good in school again. Now, the last time Jupiter and Uranus came into conjunction was in 2010, 2011, and I had a lot of drama just before the conjunction. So I was working on my PhD, and in 2010, I was a big fan of Carrie Underwood and also of Polish Idol winner Alicia Janazi, first place winner of Polish Idol season one. Go look her up. You probably don't know her. But that year, 2010, they both got married. And it, I'm happy for them. But at the same time, it made me realize that I hadn't yet to get involved in a serious relationship. And so I got myself taken advantage of. I was desperate because I was watching Carrie Underwood and Lisa Janazi get married. And I personally got desperate. And so I was around the same time, I also started following the second place winner of Polish Idol season one, Evelina Falenta. And I remember thinking, please don't let her get married. Please don't let her get married. It would just be too much for me to bear because I felt like I was like falling behind in life, if you will. Funny thing is, little did I know she was already taken this whole time. And I was thinking, please don't let her get married. And around the same time, Taylor Swift had just begun her career. I remember thinking, please don't let her get married as well. It'd just be too much for me to bear. And so I got involved in my first serious relationship. I lost my virginity, and then I got taken advantage of by the girl because I was desperate. And that year, I almost dropped out of school. I had a lot of drama. I was spending all my time and money on the girl, and I got very burned out. I was eating a lot of fish out of Lake Ontario because I was spending all my money on the girl. And I had a friend who was hunting, and he gave me a bunch of game meat. And so I got a lot of mercury toxicity from the fish in Lake Ontario, and I've since learned that uh, some of the ammunition used for hunting can contaminate game meat with lead. So I was getting a lot of lead and mercury poisoning from what I was eating, and then on top of that, I was staying up all night to catch up on my schoolwork, and I got very ill as a result. Eventually, I was forced to break up with the girl because I was on the verge of being kicked out of school. I was already getting myself in a lot of trouble. I had a lot of anger problems, and that summer, I was living in Rochester, New York. That summer, I had gotten myself banned from so many places in the Rochester due to anger management problems, in large part because of the lifestyle I was living. And I remember thinking there was nowhere I could go, and which is very similar to what happened this year. I'll get to that in a second. I didn't get banned from any places this year, but something else happened. So bear with me. Now, I broke up with the girl. 2 weeks after I broke up with the girl, there was a coin show that I wanted to go to. And so I almost thought about picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, why don't we get back together?" And then I remembered the last couple of times I did that. It did not turn out very well. And I got my ass whipped the last couple of times I tried to do that. But I also wanted to go to this coin show, and I spent the night tossing and turning, wondering what to do about this. And then I got this feeling that everything was going to be okay. Just go to sleep. And so I went to sleep. I got up the next morning, and it was really sunny out. My car wasn't working properly because during the time I was with the girl, I was spending all my money on her and not fixing up the car. I had a bicycle. I took the bicycle to the coin show and had the best time of my. I probably went to the coin show with the idea that I'm going to meet a girl at the coin show, but instead I had the best time of my life without the girl. And so that's when I realized that everything I did with the girl I could do without. And so I spent the rest of my PhD program in that kind of relationship. So that was good. Now that brings us to this current conjunction season. 18 months ago, I started making art out of bismuth. See, we got a lot of heavy metals involved in these stories, right? Last time around, it was lead and mercury. This time around, it's bismuth. There's a lot of parallels. I'm going to get to a bunch of parallels in this story. But 18 months ago, I got myself involved in making bismuth art. Now, the reason I got involved with bismuth art is that I was working at a very toxic job. I often couldn't speak up for myself, in large part because I needed the money. And so I decided that if I had a second stream of income, maybe I could go to that toxic job and speak my mind. That was the initial goal, or at least have more freedom to do the job the way I need to do it, right? To handle the relationships the way I need to handle them. That was the initial goal. And unfortunately, it's a mixed bag. Yes, I did get to speak up at the toxic jobs a little bit more than I would have otherwise have been. But at the same time, the time commitment and the investment into the bismuth is kind of also crippling a bunch of stuff in my life. To give you an idea, last year I accumulated almost 3 tons of bismuth. I'm really pleased about that. But it came at a huge cost, right? I spent last year pretty much living in a box. I wasn't going to a lot of social events. I was backing out of a number of things, right? See, a lot of parallels, right? Last conjunction, I was kicked out of a lot of things. This conjunction, I'm kicking myself out of a lot of things to invest in the bismuth, right? And the other parallel I see is that last conjunction, Carrie Underwood and Alicia Genazzi got married. This conjunction, I suspect, is when Evelina Folenta is going to officially uh, do some kind of ceremony. She's been singing a lot about it. And also, just 2 weeks ago, this girl that I knew a few years earlier decided to message me again, and so I'm starting to be a little bit cautious that it doesn't play out like the last one. But I don't think it will, because last conjunction was all about me going from dating other people to being solo sexual. I suspect this one is going to end in the reverse direction. So it remains to be seen, but a lot of parallels uh, between the last one and this one, which is what makes me a little bit excited that in April all this is going to pass, and it's going to just like last time around. Right after the conjunction passed, all the good stuff came pouring in, right? All the bad stuff out, the good stuff in, right? When the conjunction passed, that's how it played out last time around. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.